National correspondent for the Tablet and Crux, Christopher White, joins us now to talk about the changing attitudes toward capital punishment. Christopher, thank you, as always, for being here. You know what? Pope Francis has spoken repeatedly about his opposition to the death penalty. Why is this issue just so close to him?
Listen, I think if we think back to Pope Francis's early years as a priest and then a bishop in Buenos Aires, prison ministry was actually sort of at the top of his list. So I think it was really from spending time with inmates and their families that he saw firsthand what he would describe as the evils of this practice. And I think that sort of led him over the years to kind of speak out consistently on this issue and kind of place it front and center for Catholics worldwide.
Now, since this summer's announcement that he was officially changing the catechism to be against capital punishment, what's been the reaction of Catholics throughout the United States?
You know, there have been some Catholics, particularly conservative Catholics, who have been critical of the Pope's decision to, declare the death penalty inadmissible. But for the most part, Catholics, as well as the rest of the country, have sort of continually moved against this issue and sort of see this as a practice that they want to distance themselves from. It doesn't mean there hasn't been opposition in some quarters. But on the whole, Catholics have been supportive of this.
Now, we've done our research. Obviously, we've seen the data. The death penalty is on decline, according to some reports. Now, do you think Catholic advocacy on this issue is partly responsible for that decline?
Yeah, I look at states across the country where I see this issue sort of coming up, and certainly Catholics are on the front lines. I think of Sister Helen Prejean, who's probably the most famous advocate in this country, and she is normally the ones going and knocking on the doors of governors, particularly Catholic governors, and saying, as a Catholic, you really shouldn't be endorsing this practice. So certainly a loud voice there.
Now, Christopher, really quickly, despite the decline of public support for capital punishment, neither of the political parties have found a unified voice. Why?
Well, look, I think it's fair to say that, there's bipartisan support for the death penalty and there's bipartisan opposition to it. So it is mixed across the board. But it's one of those issues where you have, a growing number of legislators that see this as something they don't want to identify with, as a number of countries in the world have stopped the practice. So we'll perhaps see a growing trend in that direction.
And I think we have not heard the last of this discussion.
Perhaps
so I look
not.
forward to talking with you about it again. Thank you so much, Christopher.